to reconcile exactly what, BDM was hired back in '07, September '07, to do some of this work that he discusses in paragraph 3.
And we have all that. What John Stewart is suggesting here, and what we talked about this afternoon, is that it's in our best interest to have one main contact with FEMA that understands all the different projects we've done and can be the main contact person, so they're not having to jump all over the place. And he's suggesting that he comes down here and looks at all the paperwork that we have done to date and goes through, you know, the payments we've received to date, and just take a look at the system that we've got so far and kind of get a feel for the scope of what needs to be done yet. There are some where it's going to be real easy, real quick, won't take long to do it at all. Others, it's going to take a lot of time to dig out all the past paperwork on it, and or even to determine exactly what work was described in that PW, because sometimes it's very confusing what kind of work they were talking about having done. And then BDM is talking about if they are like if John is like the lead person, then he would coordinate with Dave from Odemo Engineering, and they could work on helping go through all the other, all the different aspects of it. Looking at what work was done or what needs to be done, or coordinating, following back with Jeff to say, did we do this, or who did it, or when was it paid, things like that. So he's suggesting one shot to come down here and get an overall picture of what needs to be done, and then it would be like on an hourly basis to actually do the work after that.
He figures 12 hours to survey.
To just take a big picture shot of what needs to be done, yeah. And during that time they would do a couple, and then they would create a format too, so that every single PW is treated the same way, so that when Odemo is going through stuff for us, then everybody's on the same page with the same format. And BDM has worked with FEMA projects in the past, so they understand a lot better than I do all the ins and outs of what FEMA wants as far as documentation. You want to add anything?
Well, I guess as far as our part, you know, just for logistics, we'd help in the legwork of it. Like Kathy was saying, BDM, they've essentially dealt with finances with PFA and FEMA monies as far as the PWs go. You know, I guess whatever's in the best interest of the city here, that any way we can help as far as the legwork, we're going to do that, and that would also be at a discounted hourly rate, as BDM is suggesting their rate also. But essentially, there's so many different PWs, it's hard to estimate the time it's going to take to go through those. Like Kathy said, there could be one PW that just takes a few minutes to get it organized. There could be others that you have to hunt down and search for that invoice, and maybe you don't know what invoice goes with which PW. So there's a lot of investigation and almost detective work to deal with these PWs.
One of the things we're concerned with too is someday we will be audited by the federal government for this, and it could take up to 10 years, and I'm not going to be here.
Neither am I.
And but I don't want to leave a mess for whoever is here. I mean, I want this to be in order, and I want this to make sense, and I don't want the city to lose anything, because if we don't have paperwork in order, they could come back and say, you can't document that, you got to pay back $1 million, you know. So I don't want that to happen. So we want to get as much money as we can, retain as much money as we have, and get all of our ducks in a row to be able to be ready for when that audit happens. There's, now, when it's still fairly fresh in our mind, between Jeff and I, that we can still remember a lot of this stuff. Oh, the more time that passes, the harder it is to remember, so. And the same way with our engineers, I mean, they've been involved with us from, both sets of engineers have been involved since the beginning, so this is fairly fresh in our minds yet, but, if we wait too long to get going on this, it'll be really hard for somebody to come along later and try to make sense of it all, and I don't wanna leave that mess for
But we
the
can't wait.
future.
What does BDM charge on an hourly basis?
Depends on who they send, I imagine.
Yeah, this first round, would probably cost about $1,200 for him to review the whole scope of everything and get it all set up and get a format set up and get a plan worked out with Odemo as to who's gonna do what and.
In that first round though, you would probably take care of pieces, 3 or 4 PWs.
Yeah, he could do a few.
But we don't know how many there are, do we?
There's probably 100
Well,
roughly.
We went through and counted, there's about 130 existing PWs.
Still to be filed?
Oh,
well,
no,
I mean,
no,
no.
some have been done.
Some have been done, but there's
Yeah.
about 130 PWs to go through, so there's, and
To-
some are
in
small,
total.
some are huge.
Yeah. Some they deleted,
Yeah,
you know, some they wrote them and then they deleted them later on. So there's just a lot of that we have to straighten out.